Hey, I know what you want. I got what you need. Backwash. Only dust remains.
Hello one, hello all, it's the gothiest ghost of them all, Casper in the Flesh, and it's time for a review of Backwash, Only Dust Remains. This is the fifth album from rapper, songwriter, producer, Backwash, who has easily proven to be one of the best rappers of 2020, definitely a voice, definitely a lyricist, a producer to look out for. From her God Has Nothing to Do With This, Leave Him Out of It album, which was very goth-centric, very industrial-centric, that dealt in gender identity, religion, occult. But then came her even heavier release, I Lie Here Buried With My Rings and My Dresses, which dove deeper into gender identity politics, and more self-harm than one could experience. I mean, it definitely was not for the weak at heart, but it really dove into the struggles of being a trans woman, being someone of color. And then in 2022, with His Happiness Shall Come First, which was certainly more hip-hop centric, definitely more conscious hip-hop centric, but I would say had the equal amount of intensity of its predecessors. But it was very clear she was becoming more and more ambitious with each release. And this time around, it's pretty clear that Backwash has opened a whole new chapter here, definitely onto new things. Maybe not topically, but certainly sonically, because with the world going to shit and with her life being in shambles and her mental health deteriorating, it definitely shows on this LP. And to me, it seems Backwash is even in a worse position than when she started mentally. And she certainly does touch on more political issues here. She's really no stranger to that, but she does that a few more times on this record, and delivering a massive amount of intensity, but also going into a completely different sonic direction here, where it's less hellish and certainly more abstract. It's certainly more heavenly at points, getting more experimental with the hip-hop production, and certainly more sample-based, certainly more epic, and definitely a handful of multi-phased epics here. But you do get your heavy drums still, but you're getting a lot of old-school soul samples, gospel inclusions from the pianos, various blissful choir vocals, and also bright, epic cinematic synths. And you also do get your layered reverb vocals, but given the poignance and the depth of Backwash's lyrics, I would say it's definitely fitting. As her lyrics do remain dark, but sonically there is a transcendence to be noticed on this record. And as far as the rapping goes, Backwash is certainly more passionate than ever. As the album progresses, you do see Backwash just getting darker and darker mentally, and also just to a point where she's screaming her brains out like on Wake Up. As her lyrics on this record are certainly more pained, dealing in self-loathing, self-harm, and having the feeling of hopelessness. But again, there is a progression to this record that is uplifting in a way. There is a beauty to this. And also she does speak on not only her own loathing, but also the vitriol she has received from society. And the whole feeling of this record is as equally emotionally intense as it is also emotionally no holds barred, like on Black Lazarus, which is an excellent opener as it illustrates the uniqueness and extra addition that I Lie Here Buried had, as we get more arrays of foreign vocal loop samples, cavernous echo delayed vocals, heavy drums, sour guitar chords. So I'm definitely satisfied with the instrumental variety and also the beaming synths on the outro here. And Backwash covers a lot of ground here topically, as she is sharing these visions of her meeting her demise from substance abuse, being let down by people she loves, being oppressed by society, feeling guilt and torn between how she's dwelling on her own pain. Meanwhile, there are children being separated by their parents and this ongoing genocide in Gaza. And there's the intense, powerful, multifaceted Wake Up, with these very raw vocals ranging from impassioned to these blood-curdling screams to this very meditative vocal outro. And it's mixed with a variety of sinister piano lines, wailing distorted guitars, distorted wailing guitars, and also a gospel-adjacent passage at the end. And each passage is a representation of Backwash's most troubling and most darkest harrowing thoughts. From plotting her demise, fraudulent support from fake allies, lyrically going darker as she goes into this manic vocal performance to this absolutely harrowing mantra. And the whole track is, in a very powerful way, a very endless disturbance. Especially on the outro where she's trying to grasp the meaning to live, things that interest her, things that keep her going, where she's also battling with body dysmorphia, and someone who actually does go through body dysmorphia, I get it. It's equally as harrowing as it is tremendously heartbreaking. And I feel with the spiraling synth outro mixed with gospel, it does give the listener a sense of hope. And I just think it's incredible how on this record she just takes you on this emotional roller coaster. Then we have the gorgeous, blissful palate cleanser, Undesirable. And yes, it does have intensity vocally. And lyrically, but the production is definitely a contrast here, as we get this rubbery bass, tribal hand percussions, ethereal layers of pianos and strings. It really does give a separation from the following track as much needed. With ethereal pianos and strings, it definitely does give a separation that was much needed from its predecessor. As Backwash is sharing her success, as Backwash is sharing her gratitude of people who supported her, being grateful that she was able to make great art, make a great body of work. And with each killer release she's put out, she certainly should pat herself on the back. She certainly should feel great about herself. But also speaking on the immense feelings of pain from trauma, isolation. And as the track continues, the emotions get more stronger and the instrumentation does become more motivating. And as the track continues, the emotions and the production correlate perfectly as each moment here, yes, gets more intense, yes, gets elevated, but also the production does get more motivating. It definitely does get more heavenly. And Ninth Heaven, which is introduced by Ninth Gate, which is this very ethereal, very trippy, laser synth-like interlude that leads into this very droning synth and sample production, which really bolsters the haunting elements that Backwash is bringing here. Like, it's very pained, it's very haunting, but also invigorating too, especially with the rapid tribal drums that are placed here. Also, I will say too, while this is a very morbid track, it's probably the most anthemic on the whole record, which lyrically leads to religious allegories of Backwash wanting to end her existence from trauma, endless suffering, societal pressures, and finding beauty and power in ending life, and opposed to living in agony and finding the bravery to do it. But near the end of this thing, there is a sense of strength to keep going. And the elevated synths over the sample looped breakbeats makes for a very mesmerizing outro. But production-wise, I really can't deal with how muddy the mix sounds here on Disassociation. Not to mention the very underwhelming vocals on the hook from Chloe Hotline. Also, the random comedy bit that's thrown in here is kind of odd. And given how tragically bittersweet that these lyrics are from Backwash and how powerful they are, I feel that the production definitely needed more care. I really think we deserved a better hook here. I think she deserved a better hook here. But after that, we do get a very strong ending, starting with History of Violence. And definitely has the most futuristic, most experimental sounding keys here that contrast beautifully with the gorgeous, passionate instrumental layers, with each transitional passage more powerful than the next, as she unleashes an onslaught of bars here. with the first verse showing how Backxwash does show a huge appreciation for her fans, loving the support, but simultaneously her depression is depleting her mental health and she can't really find the strength to keep going. As the strength to continue is depleting with her ongoing thoughts of death and her turmoil. And later on into the track, diving and tearing deep into our fascistic neocon president, the same fascistic president who is aiding and funding Israel's imperialism with this ongoing Holocaust, this starvation, this genocide, and diving deeper into these war crimes, getting to the root of it, exposing capitalism. It's definitely a very powerful track. Like, this whole album is a powerful one, but Backxwash really does dive deep into each layer of power here. We then have Stairway to Heaven, and given how Floydian the guitars are here, I could have sworn this was a Pink Floyd sample, but in actuality, it's an Anna von Hauswolf sample. And while the drums are mostly faint here, and while it is mostly guitar, that does give Backxwash vocals and lyrics definitely more prominence here, as if they weren't prominent already, but it does give her more space to just air out what she's feeling, share her deepest emotions and passions here. It really does give her the spotlight. As Backxwash has given the listener a reassurance of accepting things that you can't control. Sometimes it's good to create a new path. Sometimes it's okay to have a new passion. And also having these depictions of her funeral service, which honestly I see as a callback of the concept of I lie here buried with my rings and my dresses, based off of how this track ends lyrically. And this record does surprisingly end on a very blissful note here, and given how dark and harrowing that this album has been, I feel like the progression of this has definitely led to light at the end of the tunnel, as I feel this track really does depict the afterlife, like a heaven of some sort. As this is the perspective of Backxwash speaking from the afterlife, if she would have passed, and saying to her friends how she apologizes for the isolation, for pushing them away, and also giving a much needed retaliation to bigots and racists of society who have put her down, who have put people of color down, who have put her down for being a part of the queer community. And the track does end very gorgeously, very divinely, mirroring the feeling of finding peace, finding yourself in a better place, finding more hope. And the strong and very strong, serene gospel outro really does capture that feeling, really does give this thing the ending and the bliss that was much needed to end this thing. So yeah, overall, this is a very beautiful, tragic, harrowing experience, but also a glimmer of hope too. Like, this thing is a harrowing beauty with a lot of great instrumental variety. And while I found the lyrics to be vastly concerning, it really does seem like Backxwash is finding hope. She's finding something to hang on to. Like, I did find some places of optimism here. And overall proving to be still one of the best rappers, producers, and songwriters in the game right now. And truly one of the most standout today, delivering her best work yet. And this is someone with a great catalog. And I do hope this isn't her last one, but I also want her to focus on her mental health, to be okay, and to heal. Because that's really what I want. I mean, I would love another record, but I want her to take care of herself first. But she did leave us off. If this is her last record, this is definitely an incredible finish. I'm feeling a 4.5 out of 5 on this record. If you've given this a listen, what'd you think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? I am Caspa. This is my opinion. I am your plug. If you hate it, your view's still a dub. I want to give a big birthday shout out to Squishmello. You're the best. Shout out to Abbot Burgers, really great vegan burgers. If you're a vegan, definitely check that out if you're a vegan like myself. Shout out to Lance from the Serfs, great political commentary from that guy. Check him out. Also, big shout out to Cogumelomedia. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Follow them. Great journalism there. Checking out a whole bunch of metal bands, interviewing them. Check them out. Be a subscriber. That would be fire. Caspa, Gothic Ghost, Backwash, Only Dust Remains. Till we meet again.